Hello there everybody, and welcome to this feature presentation on YouTube. I am King Mac, your hamburger pal. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to enjoy a hot fresh cheeseburger along with some delicious golden french fries, a tasty milkshake, and a nice soft drink. Also be sure to grab some hot buttery popcorn while you're at it as you enjoy this episode of TTBurger Game Reviews on YouTube.
What's up, my friends? How y'all doing today? You are watching TTBurger Game Reviews here on YouTube, and I'm your host, Tony, aka TTBurger, as we're continuing with more of my TTBurger Game Reviews here, with some more PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 games here, and we're continuing with another episode here, episode 265, part 1 of 3 parts. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Freaking HD and Sub-Zero MS King Mac, allow Set That Type Lamia, Prickles Real Stateside, Megs, Black Healer, Griffin Puff, and the homie RJ, Uncle Jira, Rockstar Pool 69, B-Rock Games, The Sensational No Gent, Just Cody 22, and Sedetta Hyperlamia's boyfriend, Happy, who are both fans of this series here. And today we're talking about a game series made by Sony Computer Entertainment Japan and Sony Computer Entertainment America. We have a platforming game franchise here, with the objective is to not only leave platform and jumps at that, but to capture apes/monkeys from taking over the world. And it's the first game ever on the PlayStation, and the only game on the PlayStation 2 where you're required to use the DualShock analog controller. This will be in 3 parts, like I said. We're talking about the Ape Escape series. Now, we all know that Ape Escape series has been around since the 90s, start that, and which had 3 main games, some spin-offs, a remake, and some party game, and a party-like game like Mario Party and stuff. I'm not going to talk about the spin-offs or like those any party. I'm going to talk about the main series here. We're going to talk about the 3 main Ape Escape games. In part 1, we're going to look at Ape Escape for the PlayStation. Part 2, Ape Escape 2 for the PlayStation 2. Then part 3, finally, Ape Escape 3 for the PlayStation 2 as well. Not looking at any other spin-offs or the remake Ape Escape on the loose for PlayStation Portable and stuff. So just letting you know there. We already got a lot to talk about here. We're going to get started. We're talking about the original Ape Escape for the PlayStation, released on June 23rd, 1999. Ape Escape is a fun game that came out of nowhere and surprised us all. I mean, we had 3D platform games on the PlayStation, but it was the first time we had a platform game where we had to catch apes with the net and some other cool gadgets, which we'll talk about later. And for the most part, it works really well, aside from some frustrations there, but we have to get back on track here. And like I mentioned, this game requires a DualShock analog controller, and without it, you cannot play the game. But we need to continue here. The story starts off with this white-haired monkey called Spectre at a monkey-themed amusement park, and puts on a monkey peak point helmet created by a professor, which increases his intelligence beyond that of a regular monkey. But the helmet was a prototype, and it had problems, and it twisted Spectre's mind and made him evil with the power, and gave other monkeys in the park helmets and set them loose. They then take over the laboratory where Professor and his 14-year-old niece assistant Natalie are currently building a time station. We then see the main character Spike and his best friend Jake arrive at the laboratory, and they find themselves transported by Spectre and the other monkeys to different parts in time, while Professor and Natalie are being tied up and everything. And the Professor is surprised that the time station works, but they have problems on their hands because Spectre and the other monkeys, apes, are transferred back in time to take over the world by rewriting history, where apes and monkeys are the rulers of the earth. And not only that, Spike's best friend Jake has become brainwashed by Spectre and is now taking Spectre's side. Spike is the only hope who can stop Spectre and save Jake. The story is okay. It's not the best story because it's a cliche try to take over the world story by rewriting history, but it does not mean it sucks, because it is funny, especially with the characters and everything. So the story is not bad, but not the best either. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's funny seeing monkeys and apes trying to take over the world like Pinky and the Brain and stuff. The presentation of Ape Escape, the graphics are good, very detailed indeed, the characters look really good and animate really well, and the character models are so detailed where they have facial expressions to them where they're mad or upset and stuff. The only issue with the characters is the awful lip syncing that does not match up to the English voices, match up to the Japanese audio stuff, and it looks awful. We'll talk about that later. The monkeys themselves look really cool. When they panic and stuff, it is like, it's burglary funny. Like, give them a cheeseburger to calm them down. I'm sure they're hungry. The environments are good, looking nice variety of them, and the environments are big too. You go from the Lost Land with the dinosaurs, the mysterious age of the jungles, the ice age of New Friesland, to Oceania where it's covered with water, and more and more and more. And you know me, I love the ice age, I love the New Friesland ice age levels because they're snow levels, and I love snow levels in video games. The gadgets look cool, very unique design, like a monkey burger, or like that special monkey bread recipe that you make around Christmas time that has pepperoni inside it. The sound of Ape Escape though is awful. The music is good, has that feeling of a 3D platform, and fits like a glove. And the whooshes and the gadget sound effects sound pretty cool. But the worst part of the sound in Ape Escape is the voice setting. Now I will say that each version of this game, the original Japanese version, the PAL region, and the US version all had different voice setting. Each character had different names too in each region version. But we're going to talk about the voice setting in the version we got. The voice setting in the US version is awful. Like, whoa, this is bad. Sure, Professor sounds good, but the rest of the characters not so much. The main character, Spike, and his best friend Jake are 10 years old, and they sound like teenagers, and I never knew 10-year-old males could hit puberty that early on in their lives. I mean, they could have at least gotten 10-year-old kids to voice them and act them and stuff. Natalie sounds okay, but her character is 14 years old and she sounds like a 20-year-old beer drinker at a bar. Spectre sounds okay, a little overdoing it by being evil and stuff like that, but he's okay. And the woman who transports you from times like that, it sounds very manly, like with a high pitched voice. And on top of that, the lip syncing does not match up to the English at all. It matches the Japanese, and the lip syncing looks awful with English voice acting and stuff. And like the voice acting in general is not so much to write home about. I mean, I wish they would have kept it in Japanese. You gave us the option for Japanese these voices with subtitles, though. But there are no subtitles in this version. Only subtitles in the Japanese version. Ape Escape's gameplay is fun and innovative for its time. This was the first PlayStation game and the only PlayStation game to use full use of the DualShock analog controller to play the game. And like I said, it is required to use to play Ape Escape, and without it you cannot play it. And I will admit, it did take time for me to get used to it, and I did not like this game, and I will admit it did take time for me to get used to this. I did not like it at first, but I got used to it quickly. I will admit though that using the analog sticks to move and use the gadgets are a little weighted and stiff. It was expected since this was the PlayStation game, it was the first one to test the waters and everything. Like I mentioned, we have a 3D platform where you jump platforms, use your gadgets, most importantly capture the monkeys and Spectre to get the helmet back, and to rescue Jake. You go through various eras in time, like I mentioned earlier, and your gadgets will also be used to kill the enemies. For power-ups aside from the gadgets, we have cookies for health and triangles that are like coins to give you extra lives and everything. And when you get 100 of them, you get extra life. And you have red spiked shirts that are like spiked shirts that are like icons that are extra lives, but these are rare to find. You have a bunch of gadgets just to receive aside from the stun club and the time net, which will be used throughout the whole game. Your stun club will pretty much can stun them. You can have easier time to catch them. And aside from that, the other gadgets you have are the water net, which usually capture monkeys underwater, and it's pretty cool. And you have this monkey where which will help you track down the monkeys to find where they're at, make it easier to find them. Yeah, the slingback shoot is a slingshot you have, which you use it to aim and stuff like that. You have the super hoop, which is a hula hoop that makes you go very fast and gives you a great defense. You also have the sky flyer, which is like a propeller that can get you up to higher places. You get a remote control RC car, which you use to help with switches and stuff like that. And finally, you have the magic punch, which is basically like this springy punch thing, which can help you with the enemies there for sure. And all these are very useful and will come in handy. My favorite gadget, I don't know. That was a tough one there. I don't really have a favorite gadget. The levels are big with multiple ways to find capture the number of required monkeys for each level. But we're moving on to the next level and give them a big variety in the way to play each level. After you clear each stage, you'll have to go back to the previous levels and 100% them by getting all the monkeys to get the true ending. Some levels require you to capture Spectre in boss fights. You also have vehicles such, which like tanks and rowing rafts and stuff. And along with that, you have a few minigames to play where you unlock a certain number of Spectre coins and training missions for gadgets you receive. This was a fun game and innovative for its time and bringing to have your collection, but now we have some monkey negatives here. The controls have some stiffness to them, making them feel weighted and stuff like that. and the camera is not the best. You have to manually position it properly. The controls for like the vehicles, like mainly the raft, are awful. Rotating both analog sticks to go forward like that is pretty much hard and impossible because you don't like the way you just keep turning all over the place, and it's hard, and it'll frustrate you with stuff definitely. Controlling the tank is a little bit better, but still. And swimming controls, like trying to dive underwater, you have to press in the left analog stick and stuff. That can be a little bit pain because you can run oxygen effects, you don't know what you're doing. Replaying the missions again just to get the 100% ending feels like a chore for backtracking, and it makes you wish that once you get like a gadget, you can go back there without having to see the cutscene and go back and everything like that. And some and like just can get kind of repetitive. And some of the monkeys are hard to capture and stuff like that because they're in areas where you'll need a certain gadget and you can't get there. The voice setting is not very good. The difficulty is all over the place. And there's no in-game map to help you find where to go, which would have been really helpful. And the environments are big. While I do like that they're big, it's sometimes too big where you can easily get lost, and you'll end up back at the start without even realizing. And the games you have there are awful. You only have 3 of them, and none of them are worth it. Like Ski Kids Racing, like playing that paper cutouts of the characters is lame. And just Spectre Boxing, where you're one of the monkeys fighting another monkey in a boxing match, which I guess it's cool if it was an actual arcade game and stuff like that, not a mini game. You have to get Spectre coins and stuff like for each game you need 10 coins for the first mini game, 20 for the second, and all 40 of them for the third one. And it's just, yeah. But those are the only complaints I have with it though. Final thoughts though, if you want a platform game where you can capture monkeys and apes like that and stuff, and with cool plus gadgets, Ape Escape should not disappoint. I give Ape Escape an 8 out of 10. It had some problems, and there's still some problems that could have been worked on, but still, for the first game in the series, it's definitely fun for sure. And that's it for episode 265, part 1 of 3. Stay tuned for episode 265, part 2 of 3. We're going to take a look at Ape Escape 2 for the PlayStation 2, starring a new character, Jimmy, who's Spike's cousin. How does this game fare? Next gen hardware will make improvements like that. Way to find out, but all I gotta say is Tony, peace now, have a great day, and see y'all in my review of Ape Escape 2 for the PlayStation 2. Take care, everybody.